Hello dear students, my name is GauravBansal and here we are going to start our next video on the topic of TDS and TCS. These are both related to the advanced collection of the income tax and a lot of students have doubts regarding these two terms. Let us start with the basic concept. So the idea behind both TDS and TCS is that we do not wait until the end of the financial year for people to pay taxes. As government or authority, we start collecting those taxes right from the beginning, and it has a lot of advantages as well. So जो टैक्स आपको साल के अंत में देना है उसी टैक्स को सरकार अगर साल की शुरुआत से हर महीने या हर क्वार्टर में कलेक्ट करने लग जाए तो वो TDS और TCS के रूप में होगा. And something very important here is that it is not an extra burden. This is not an additional tax or additional burden. It is the same income tax that you are expected to pay. And in this case, you are just paying it from the earlier time period. So that is the broader concept here. Now, the key difference between the TDS and TCS is that the TDS is generated when salary is created or when income is created. So TDS is deducted from the income generation process. For example, I'm working somewhere, I get a salary. From my salary itself, TDS will be cut. I get my salary deducted for the tax already. If I'm getting salary from other mechanisms, now let us see more things here. So the way we can earn salary or money is from two type of sources. One can be the factor income. Okay. So factor income, for example, salary, rent, profit, interest, dividend, commission, etc. That kind of income for which we have to work or for which we have to provide some asset. So salary we earn for working, rent we earn because we have purchased some assets or properties in past, profits we get from the companies we run. Similarly, interest we get from the capital that we have deposited somewhere. Similarly, dividends. So we get factor income, and then we can also get transfer income, which can be gift, which can be prize money, which can be lottery, etc. The money for which we didn't have to work, we just received from others as a transfer. So it doesn't matter whether it is a factor income or transfer income. The protocol is that the TDS has to be collected. Now, TDS is collected at salary generation. That is what we need to remember. And similarly, as we will move forward, we will see the TCS is collected at the time of purchase of certain products and services. So TCS is not generated when salary is created. It is collected when we spend that salary. So that is the key difference between the two. Now let us move ahead. We first talk about the impact of the TDS. So first of all, the advantages. So advantage, the biggest one that we can see is that rather than collecting money at the end of year, the money is collected right from the beginning. So we do not feel that pressure at the end of year. अगर मैं टैक्स पेयर हूँ और मुझे सारा पैसा टैक्स का साल के अंत में देना है तो उस समय पर मुझ पर अच्छा खासा बर्डन आएगा. और अगर मैं इसके लिए साल की शुरुआत से प्लानिंग नहीं कर रहा हूँ तो मुझे प्रॉब्लम भी हो सकती है. And by the way, whatever I have said in Hindi, I'm also repeating in English, so nobody has to worry if they do not understand the Hindi language. But a lot of students do get benefit from some of the bilingual portion. Now, I was saying that as a taxpayer, if I just have to pay at the end of a year, I will feel a lot of burden, and in most cases, people do not plan for it. People do not save money for tax payment at the end of a year. So it is easy for them if their salary itself is deducted for TDS. Okay, and in that way, they do not have to keep too much of the track of their taxes, and it also prevent the burden of compliance for them, because a lot of companies in fact file their proper tax returns also. They have their chartered accountants, and for a very small fee or sometimes no fee, they can file the income tax returns also for the employees. So it is a good thing for the people as well, and from government angle, of course, because when TDS is cut, there is a lesser chance of tax evasion, because when we report our income, we may underreport, we may not report at all. But if the employer has to report the income at the time of income generation, it is likely to be reported at a better rate. So that is one difference. Then by improvement of compliance, government get more revenue, and even the revenue that is collected throughout the year rather than only at the end of year. So that can also help government in maintaining the expenditures. Then it can also save a lot of administrative costs for the government, okay, because tax audits are less, investigations are less, disputes are less. Now there can be some disadvantages also. So what is the disadvantage here? The disadvantage is sometimes people may have extra burden because of TDS, because they may pay extra tax over and above what they should have paid, and they may not be able to claim refund, maybe because they are not aware or because there might be some complication in the process. So generally it is not an extra burden, but in some cases it can be. So these are the impact of TDS. Similarly, if we talk about the impact of TCS, largely similar, but major focus here is to prevent tax evasion. Okay, because when we are collecting the tax at source, or basically at the time of expenditure, okay, then it is also an indicator to those people that government is keeping track of your transaction. See, it is very easy to hide income but very difficult to hide consumption. Someone makes income from illegal methods, gambling or some other unlawful activities, so these people will never report their income, of course, but when they have to consume money, when they have to spend money, they will stay in hotels, they will buy cars. In a lot of cases, they may not be able to hide it entirely, because all of this will be through organized sector as well. You can't be completely in unorganized sector. Somewhere the trail would be there. So in that sense, when we collect it at the time of consumption, there is always a better chance of catching people. So that is the major focus of TCS. Okay, and then it also ensure that the businesses comply with the tax law. It improves the data collection and also the compliance. So all those advantages are there. So TCS major purpose is to prevent tax evasion. Disadvantages: there can be additional burden on the businesses, because this they have to collect and then submit to the government. Okay, and one disadvantage that is often argued is there is no refund option. TDS that you pay, you can claim a refund on that. Okay, for example, you have paid TDS, your income tax is TDS. Later on, you show that I've paid more than what I should have. I was deducted for more money. You can claim a refund of the difference, but in TCS, you cannot claim that refund. Okay, whatever you have given, you cannot claim a refund. You can use that credit against the tax payment. For example, you have submitted TCS. Now you can use that certificate. For example, I have submitted 30,000 rupees of TCS. Later I can show it in my income tax return and I will pay lesser income tax. But in case my income tax liability itself was less than 30,000, then I cannot get a refund. That is the major difference with TCS. Okay, and in rare cases businesses may charge extra from customers as well. So those were the disadvantages. Now basically we are going to revise this topic because the key points we have already discussed. So let us just revise this topic through a table of difference. So point number one, the TCS is on the specific goods and services, whereas TDS is on all the income. So in its application, TDS is much more broader and is applicable for a large number of people compared to TCS. Similarly, the TDS is deducted when salary is generated. Okay, employer have to collect that, and TCS is collected when people spend money. So basically, sellers, okay, or businesses, when they are selling certain things, they have to collect it. So that is one of the difference. Then TDS, that is calculated on the basis of the tax slabs which are there for the income tax. Okay, and for TCS there is a specific table, okay, where different rate are given for different products. Then TCS is given to the government at the time of sale, whereas TDS is to be generally submitted quarterly. Some companies submit monthly also. So again, these are very small technical things. Conceptually, largely the topic is already complete. TDS is paid by the payer, means the employer, okay, and TCS is paid by the buyer. Okay, so that is one of the difference here. And one key difference, which can be a good PT question, that TDS is applicable to both residents and non-resident. For example, some foreigner come into India for 3 months and works on an assignment. So his salary that he has generated or she has generated in India, even on that there will be TDS deduction. The company is entitled to cut the TDS. Whereas TCS is only deducted or only collected for residents. Okay. So that is key difference. TDS is to be collected even if recipient is exempted from tax. So even if somebody is not expected to pay tax, still TDS must be collected from them. Okay. Whereas this is not the same for TCS. Then TDS is applicable on all type of income that we have already discussed, and TCS is on specific goods and services. So, and then the legal record or legal backup for the same, the TDS is based on the Income Tax Act section 192 to 194, whereas the TDS is for, sorry, TCS is for 206C. So I do not think you have to remember this specific section. The main thing is that both are from Income Tax Act. I do not think very specific section will be asked, because this is not a chartered accountancy examination. You are preparing for UPSC civil services or other examinations or PCS, etc. So over there, I do not think specific act will be asked. So remember, both are provisioned within the Income Tax Act. And again, the last point is also a repetition of what we have already discussed, that TDS, we can claim credit refund. Okay, we can claim the money back in case our tax liability is less, whereas TCS we cannot collect back. So these are the key differences between the TDS and the TCS. And with that, we have covered up the topic.